Okay.
All right.
Okay, so I'm
Well,
gonna start. Boom! Welcome everybody. First of all, I want to say thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Carol, for putting this together, and all of our solid team that is working behind the scenes. Today, I'm going to be presenting math conversations using virtual manipulatives. I always present myself as communicating in three different ways. My first way will be my first language, which is Spanish. Si hablas español, if you speak Spanish, feel free to communicate in Spanish through the YouTube chat. My second language will be English. So that's another way how I'm going to be communicating. By the way, this session is going to be in English. And my third way how I communicate is by providing different shelter instructional strategies, which is our mission with Sally's Education. We want to provide kids the gift of academic language. Um, my name is Adrian Mendoza, and our conversations are going to go through our YouTube chat. But if you see the hashtag there for Sally's Ed Chat, once we finish this webinar, we're going to keep those conversations going because we want to keep collaborating, sharing ideas. Once again, I'm just going to give you some ideas, but I want to get the best ideas from everybody on this webinar. Our content objective for today. Okay. We will analyze the use of math, virtual manipulatives, and strategic questions to engage students in math conversation. So I want all of you to repeat after me, okay? Now I want all of you to mention this out loud as well. I know I cannot hear you, but I want you to practice saying this out loud. Language objective. We will write about differences and ideas in math, virtual manipulatives, by using sentence stems. I'm going to be providing you with some sentence stems, and that's how you're going to be having conversations with other people. In every single math professional development that I provide, I ensure myself that we have some mathematical mindsets, okay? And I created this cycle. First of all, I want to ensure that we understand that math is open. When I learned mathematics, it was very structured where there was only one idea of how to do mathematics, but we need to understand that there's different ways how we can get to answers. We also want to encourage kids to be creative, to be thinking about what questions do they have, and that there's different paths. Once that we understand that math is open, we go and visualize mathematics. I will tell you something. I used to love mathematics, but I was more about getting the answers and that's it. Now that I'm visualizing mathematics, I'm starting to get all my aha moments. I'm starting to actually understand, okay? So we don't understand mathematics until we can visualize it. When you have your visual component, what's gonna happen? There's where Sally's Education comes in place. There's where academic language comes in place. We get to communicate and connect those ideas, okay? So while I work through this webinar, I want you to be thinking on this cycle on how we're going to communicate and connect ideas using language structure for our English learners kids. But remember, what works for English learners is going to be working for all students in the classroom. Okay, so how does that mathematical mindset cycle looks like? I'm going to show you a quick video of a school I visited in Mexico, Euro Valle. And this is what happened in the classroom when I asked them one question. I asked the kids, how do you visualize mathematics? So here it goes. So the kids were doing their multiplications and I asked them, how do you visualize it? So kids, they say, oh, can we do that? So it was open for them to get different ideas. They started creating different visuals. And then with those visuals, they were using actually sentence stems. And at the end of the day, they were sharing their ideas. They were connecting them and they were very proud of their ideas. And that setting and the engagement came in place. So that's my sister-in-law, Melissa, and my daughter, Sophia. So boom. Now you look at that picture, that's Sarah's idea, okay, on the left side. It's not my idea anymore. Okay, usually we think about engagement in the classroom where Students are doing what teachers is asking them to do. Like, oh, my kids are engaged. Look at them. Everybody's doing what I'm asking them to do. And that's not how engagement looks like. Engagement comes when kids are creating, when they're developing their own ideas, and you're recognizing and reinforcing. Now, once that you chose Sarah's idea, guess what's going to happen? Kids are going to be encouraged. They're going to be excited about getting their ideas, and the excitement is going to come in place. And we're going to be finishing that cycle. And guess what happens again? Math is open, and we get more ideas. Now, once that we get it open, we need to visualize it. During this webinar, I'm going to show you some ideas of how we can use Braining Camp. This is going to be the tools that we're going to be using for today. My wife, who is a kindergarten teacher, she's using that in the classroom. I've used these tools from kinder all the way to 12th grade to communicate and to share with my kids. Now, if you look at the visuals, you get to see all the different possibilities. So there's not just one idea, but there's many different ideas. So I'm going to give you just a couple, but at some point I want to get ideas from all of you and think, how can we visualize mathematics in different ways, and how that's going to be helping us to make some connections. So there's some proportions, simplifying expressions. You want to do some simple skip counting, subtracting strategies, and there's different levels. Some teachers were asking me, I need some fractions ideas. Boom. So there's different ideas that we are going to be using. Now, if you're wondering how do we access to this, boom, guess what? Braining Camp, okay, is going to give us free access all the way to September the 30th. So that's about 6 months of access to this manipulatives, which nowadays teachers are looking for different ideas. What can I do with my kids right now? So 3 simple steps, okay? So take notes. You're gonna go to brainingcamp.com. You're gonna look for the bottom where it says redeem, and your code, guess what's your code for today? And that's just gonna be working today. Your code for today is gonna be silence. If you miss it, you can go to the hashtag SilenceEdChat. I'm gonna post it there as well for today. Feel free to share this with other teachers and enjoy this great tools for the next 6 months. Now, once you have the visuals, how are you exactly going to connect those into the conversations? So in order to have these awesome conversations, these are 4 powerful questions that you can use in the classroom. Now in mathematics, when I say there's 4, these are not the only 4, but these are 4 good practices. If I tell you these are the only 4, I'm close in mathematics, but I want to make sure that it's open for everybody. And the one that I'm going to be using more often is going to be the which one does not belong. So if you look at this picture in the classroom, you have 4 different pictures, 4 different ideas from kids. They get to talk about their ideas, and they come with one idea that does not belong. And they get to think outside the box. And the cool thing about this, there's not a right answer. Actually, there's many right answers. There's not a wrong answer for them. So kids get to be creative. Second one is, how do you visualize it? So here we are at Brillamont. Kids are visualizing, and once that they visualize it, they can create, they can share their ideas, and we get to the what do you notice? Okay, so nowadays kids need to be noticing. Even at this time, I want you to look around in the place where you are, in your room, even in your classroom. Look at all the different mathematics that are around us. What do you notice? Okay, do you see patterns? Do you see arrays? Do you see different visuals that you can connect with mathematics? And at the end of the day, what do you wonder? You want kids to be asking questions. You want yourself to be asking questions. When my girls, Camila and Sophia, when they go to school, I tell them 2 things. The first thing I tell them, I love you. The second thing I tell them, you go to school and ask questions. Okay. Research shows that the best performing students are the ones that ask questions. And in mathematics, we're not doing that as often. Okay. Sometimes kids ask us questions and we tell them, oh, that's going to be a different day, or just follow my steps. Instead, I'm going to invite my students, and I want my students to be able to ask questions. So these 4 questions are the ones I'm going to be using during this webinar. Now, once that you ask these questions, kids are going to get to talk. Now, there's 2 ways how kids can respond. The first one is where kids tell you the answers, like Yes, no, or 4, 25, 30. Okay, so that happens in mathematical classrooms. But if you want your kids to be responding in complete sentences, we are going to build some sentence stems. Okay, so from those questions, I'm going to build the sentence stems. So I want you to look out from one question, which one does not belong. I'm going to use that question to create a sentence stem. So blank does not belong because blank. Now I have three more questions. What do you think are going to be the sentence stems for these three questions? I'm going to give you 5 seconds for that. What do you think are the sentence stems for those three questions? And the answer is yes. Boom, you got it right. What do you notice? You get them started with I notice, and now they share their ideas. I wonder, and the way I visualize it is boom. So you gotta model that with the kids and you gotta coach them how to use that. And once that they use complete sentences, they're gonna be becoming writers and they're gonna be achieving that understanding piece that English learners and all students need in the classroom. Okay, boom. So let's get into some activities that we can be building with our kids. So this is my first picture. Okay, so I want you to analyze this picture. And my question for you is which one does not belong? Okay. The sentence stem I want you to use on YouTube, please put in the chat is A, B, C, or D, which is your blank, does not belong blank. Okay, so I want you to think, you can think on something that it's really simple. There's no wrong answers. Okay, so anything that you think that is really simple, but I also want to encourage you and your students to think outside the box. Imagine all these kids getting all these different ideas, and there's only one person that is going to be choosing C. If I need to hire that one person, who am I going to hire? I'm going to hire that student. I'm going to hire that person that is thinking different than all the other participants. So once again, you can make it simple. You can lower the filter for the kids, but you can also be scaffolding with your kids. Also be thinking about the language and vocabulary that you can be using with this picture. So which one does not belong and why? Now I'm gonna show you the process of creating this. Guess how long did it take me to create these visuals? 2 minutes, and this is my process in my thing. The first thing I did, I went to my specific tool. I made it a 4-quadrant picture, and then on red on my first quadrant there, I put a rectangle with 2 triangles. I wanted to know if kids knew that rectangles are created by 2 triangles. Now I will not tell them right away, but if kids can figure that out, that's gonna be their idea. And then secondly, I put there another quadrilateral, and I wanted to see if kids really can see that there's obtuse angles there in that second quadrilateral. The third one, I'm gonna put a triangle, but I'm gonna put it there in that origin. I wanna see if some kids can notice that. If they don't, that's okay. But now I'm provoking those kind of conversations with them. The fourth one is gonna be a square number. This is actually gonna be the difference between a square and a rectangle there. So probably some of you are getting those ideas, but probably some of you are looking at something that is different. Now, what else can I do? I'm gonna be checking them. I'm gonna put some coordinates there. You can make it simple or you can add as many different components depending on your grade level. I'm gonna put there X and Y tables there. Some kids might be very abstract and you want them to talk about even numbers, positive numbers, negative numbers, prime numbers. You want them to be looking at different characteristics so you can build that conversation. Now I can annotate. Isn't it cool? A lot of teachers have been asking me, what can be a good whiteboard that I can be using in mathematics? So this is a good whiteboard where you can annotate, where kids can annotate, and then they can make their selection. And finally, how do I want my kids to talk? How do I want to build that academic language for ELs and all students? Yes, you're right. I'm gonna put your sentence stem there for you. Blank does not belong because boom, and you keep your blank statement, and now you get the conversations going with your students. Now, you want to feel proud of yourself? you end up with a big, yes, you're right, I want you to do this. Boom. So now the explosions come in place for your students. So which one does not belong? There's as many different ideas. You are gonna build those vocabulary, but once again, the ideas are coming from your students, not from the teachers. Once that they come with those ideas, you're gonna recognize and reinforce to create that engagement in the classroom. Now, how can you take this to the next level? Yes, now there are students' ideas. So in this example, you get a student's ideas, and this is, you want your kids to be exploring the, let's say, 3 9s. As you notice, I'm not putting 3 times 9. Why not? Because in order to develop academic language, I want kids to visualize that 3 9s, it's a 9, a 9, and a 9. And then that can be seen in different ways. Some of you are wondering, oh, are my kids getting access to this? Guess what? The answer is yes. So once you create your teacher account, you're going to be able to create these student accounts where they're going to be interacting with each other. And you go back and ask them the same question, which one does not belong? And you see Mario's idea that if you put 3 9s, you can count by threes or you can count by nines. Emily's idea here, she's actually using algebra tiles. Boom, imagine kids starting to think in this way, where she understands that a 9 is composed of 10 ones and a -1. And that's gonna be another idea. So then you go to Monica's idea, Stephen's idea, and kids are gonna start noticing and wondering about different things. You get to more ideas. Nicole is showing on a very important component in mathematics. The numbers live inside numbers. That a 9 is the same as a 5 and a 4. And you can count 3 5s, which is 15, and 3 4s, that it's a 12. And then kids are gonna start wondering, they're gonna start noticing, just as Peter did with the hundreds chart. Okay, I've been working with students, even middle school, where I asked them to add, let's say, 27 plus 10, and some of them start counting 27, 28, 29, and that's at some point they're gonna get to the right answer, but at some point you wanna show them these patterns where they can see that 27 and 10 more is gonna give you to 37. So once that they look at all these patterns, they're gonna be making those connections. And just think about this. Majority of our kids are not understanding one strategy in mathematics. They are one visual away from understanding this process. The last one is, how do you visualize it? Now, there's many different ways how you can visualize it. So I want you to look at Lucy's idea, and that's basically a partial product where 3 9s is the same as 3 4s, another 3 4s, and 3 1s. And some kids and even some teachers are gonna think, oh, I did not know that. So now I can do that, and I can get that idea not from Mr. Mendoza, but from Lucy. John is showing us that 3 9s is the same as 5 5s and an extra 2. Okay, so I created another which one does not belong with Rec and Rex, and this is another question for you. Which one of this one, which one does not belong? So I'm gonna share my story with Camila. She's my daughter, she's in first grade. So I asked her this question, which one does not belong? Guess what she chose? Yes, she chose D. And you know why did she choose it? She said D does not belong because it has 3 lines. And I said, oh, I like that idea. So you're saying that D does not belong because it has 3 rows. And then now I'm building that, even though she did not mention the word rows, I asked her to repeat that idea. So now that she's talking about this, now she can say, oh, B has 2 different rows. Without even telling her that she's not using those words, she is getting that idea. And that's how I'm provoking those conversations. And that's how I'm promoting literacy for my English learners as well. Once again, there can be many ideas. Some students can choose the letter C because it comes with words, 4 4s. What about B? You have a 10 and 6. Actually, that's replaced value. The difference between a rec and an abacus is that you can look at numbers counting by 5s. So an 8 is the same as a 5 and a 3, and you can look at it from different ways. Once you have your which one does not belong, okay, I want you to keep thinking about what different ideas. So A reckon read is read from left to right. So at this time, there's 15 counters on the left side. But my question for you is, how can you visualize those 15 those, how can you visualize that 15? Some students are gonna start wondering, what is that yellow box in there? Why is it there? Okay, so I'm gonna challenge you to get some expressions and different ideas. The way I visualize it is 5 plus 5 plus 5. Now there's many different ways, so I'm gonna show you some of my ways or students' ways. Are these the only 21 ways that you can do it? No, you want to keep math open for your students, but now they're visualizing it and now there's a connection that they can make. So if you look at expression number 19, you can see it as 4 5s and a -5, and that's how you can get that 15. Some teachers, some students are going to say, oh, is that even possible? My third, and this is going to be the last app that I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to do a which one does not belong with pattern blocks. I love pattern blocks, but guess what? I only get to see these pattern blocks in kindergarten, first grade. I want my students to use these blocks from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And I'm going to give you a language structure that you can use and how you can be changing your content with the same language structure. So here it goes. Which one does not belong? Okay. Now you can just do it with shapes. You want to take this to the next level. Are you ready? Boom. Now you're assigning different numbers to those shapes. So every single shape has a value there. These are proportional. Now the triangle has a value of 1. Why does a trapezoid has a value of 3? If kids can try that out, they can see that 3 triangles are gonna fit on that trapezoid. So you want kids to be exploring and you're gonna build that number sense. Kids are gonna realize that 1 trapezoid is 3, or 3 triangles also have a value of 3. So 3 1s or 1 3. Once that you assign those values, those shapes are gonna be connected to a number. And that's what we call the model of concrete. You have a concrete, something you can move around. You can represent it with your pictures. And then you're gonna go to your abstract, which is gonna be your symbols and your numbers here. Going to the next level, this is a NASA project. There was a great summer camp that I did with NASA, and kids were creating their own design. So the challenge was, I wanted to create a design with a value. In this case, the value was 44. And think about the mathematical mindset cycle. The kids were open to lots of different ideas. They were to be creative. They were able to visualize it, and guess what? They were very proud, showing, communicating, and connecting their ideas. As you can see, they were counting it as 2 1s, 3 2s, 4 3s, and 4 6s, which that's how they were actually practicing their multiplication. They were actually not knowing, but they were visualizing multiplication there. Now, same language structure, different content, boom, and we do decimals, yes. The question for you is, what do you notice? Your sentence then will be, I notice. So now kids can be working with decimals. Some teachers were asking me about fractions. You want them to play with fractions. Now, what do you notice here? Are you noticing that I didn't give a fraction there for all the shapes? What do you think? What do you think is the value of the hexagon? What would be the value of that triangle? So now you're challenging your kids with content, and I'm using the same language structure with your kids. Once again, what worked for your EL kids is going to be working for everybody. And then the beauty of mathematics comes in place live. You can also do non-proportional. So Adrian, where do I get shapes that can have 1,000 triangles? Do I need to get 1,000 triangles? No. Now we understand that we work with non-proportional. Now, this is more like a real life. Think about money. Your bills, they're exactly the same size, but they have different values. So from this activity, I have my ones, my tens, my 1,000s. Guess what activity can I do with my kids? Now with this, they can start connecting to place value. This is how it looks in the classroom. You want to have your concrete, you represent it, and you go to abstract. And then you ask the kids, what do you notice? Imagine asking your kids about expanded notation there. So 4,000s plus 4,600s plus 2,10s plus 4,1s. And they can make that connection. They can talk about it. Boom. Last one, you can do some integers. You can do whatever you want on content, but the language structure will be the same. Now, my high school teachers, some high school teachers were asking, oh, is this for me? Do I need to use visuals in secondary? And this is my dream, my passion, my goal, my mission. I want to move students from working, playing with these visuals and not just use them in kinder, first grade. I want to make sure that they make these connections all the way to secondary and also in real life. Any profession requires for people to visualize, to make connections. So why not in mathematics? And this is what we can do. So from one visual, you can get to your equations, you can get to your graph, and this is what you can start noticing and you can start talking about it. Boom. So these are some ideas. Now, how exactly is this gonna be looking in your classroom? Yes, so whatever good practices that you were doing live in your classroom, I don't want you to left them behind. I want you to be thinking, what was already working for you and what can you modify? One thing that we all teachers have is that we are super flexible. We're always changing. So everybody's a teacher. Even parents, we're always thinking how flexible we are. So think about doing a virtual math talk using a QSSSA. Now, what is that? All my silent friends might already know what QSSA looks like, but if you have not experienced this great activity, strategy that we've done in the classrooms, this is how we can do it in your Zoom classroom. Okay, so here it goes. You ask them the question, which one does not belong? Guess what's gonna be the sentence then? Blank does not belong because, so the kids are gonna start writing their complete sentences. Whenever they're ready, they're gonna show you the signal. In this case, if you go through Zoom, they're gonna raise their hand when they're ready to respond. Once that you get students to respond, they're gonna put into some students Zoom breakout rooms, which is gonna create small groups, and then they're gonna have them share their responses in small groups. They share their responses, plus they get ideas from their friends. You get them all back together, and now you randomly can call on students. Boom, so Dr. Flinner did a quick training with our silence team, and it was phenomenal how we were having those conversations. We were all sharing ideas, and not one person was leading those conversations. Everybody was able to share their ideas by randomly calling on those kids. Now, this one, you can do it live with your kids, and that's what we call synchronous learning, where you can do it live with all the kids, or you can give them an assignment, and that's your asynchronous learning, where you can assign the kids to find 3 reasons why a visual does not belong, and then you have them write a paragraph about that. Now, those are your 3 sentence stems. Blank does not belong because it's the only one that, in addition, and finally, it is different than the others because always with the mathematical mindset cycle in mind, that making sure that math is open, there's many different ideas, you can visualize it, and you can actually connect with your friends and ask them about different suggestions. Boom, so I'm gonna get back to my objectives and let's see if that's what we did during this session. We will analyze and repeat with me, okay? We will analyze the use of math, virtual manipulatives, and strategic questions to engage students in math conversations. That's what we did. We will write about differences and ideas in math virtual manipulatives by using sentence stems that I provided. And this is a very important component. We gotta provide that language objective to move our English learners, not just from that content, but for also using those language structures. Okay, I was modeling some of the good practices that we're using also in the classrooms that are also going to be coming alive online. And these are the 7 steps to a language-rich interactive classroom. 4 years ago, my principal, Pam Thomas, She came with me. We had a coaches meeting, and I was a coach in San Marcos. And she said, "Hey, Adrian, look at this. I went to a training, and it was really awesome how the conversations were alive." So I started looking at this book. It was really easy to implement. And I actually started coaching, not just math, but different subjects. And guess who was my best friend? Yes, these 7 steps. So during this webinar, I used some visuals, vocabulary. We ended up with some structured conversations. At the end, I gave a writing component, and we want to keep monitoring those 7 good practices online. And this is my last shelter instruction, my training. Valentina went to my training. She's phenomenal. She created this sketch for everybody. And I want to keep connecting with you. So this is our Solid's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram account. I want to inspire you teachers, your students, your parents, and I also want to be inspired by all of you. So I want to make sure that we keep connected and we find different ways to change those mathematical mindsets for your kids. Now I'm going to get some sentimental. I'm going to talk about my girls. Boom, just to finalize. So even though if you're not working with mathematics, I want you to think, what are you doing with your kids when you're at home? What are you doing with your kids every day? So this is from Dr. Joe Boller. I want you to let your kids know that they have unlimited potential and that being good at math or at anything, it's all about working hard. When children have a growth mindset, they do well with challenges and they do better in school overall. You want to challenge them and you want to get them excited about that. On the left side, you see my daughter Camila. Don't you think that's a cute picture? Guess what? She did not win that trophy. I just thought that was a cool picture, okay? But I believe that if she works hard, if I challenge her, and if I have that high expectation for her, she and every single student are gonna be able to achieve those trophies and many more. On the right side, you see my little Sophia. I will tell you, she's the one that challenges me, okay? So she's challenging me to be a better dad. And she also has that growth mindset of trying and sharing their ideas. And I got this letter from Camila, in the first month of school in first grade. I'm gonna read it with you. I am Camila and I am playing outside with Ishan, who is our neighbor. I am doing math with my dad. I love math. My dad is Mr. Mendoza. I love my dad. This got into my heart, but I just don't want Camila to be doing this with mathematics. I want you to spread the word of mathematics as being open. So I want to provide as many opportunities for teachers, and I want everybody to love mathematics. I don't want anybody to be afraid of mathematics, and we got to build those language structures. My last words for this session, I will not say them out loud. I'm going to give you a visual for that, and I want to see if you can figure that out. The first, I'm going to help you with the first 2 letters, and I'm going to go left to right. The first letters come from 140, so you start from 0. 140 is going to be your T. The second letter is going to be coming from 0. You get an H, and you try to figure out the last 2 words. I want all of you to do boom. Thank you all very much. I hope you like it and you get at least one idea and you can spread it out. Thank you, Valentina and Carol. And thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bravo.
you so much, Adrian. Thank you very much. Adrian, if you will stop screen sharing for just a moment.
Okay.
And folks can take a go back to the video and get that screen right there and freeze on for your message. So thank you. We had one question that I wanted to make sure and ask because more than one person asked it. They wondered what software you're using. Thank you for the link, and people were very excited for that website where they have that free with the code until September, which is very exciting for people. But when you were annotating over your slides, presenting and things like that, were you just using the Zoom annotation features? What else software can you let people know about that you're using?
Okay, so in order to do this my first process of doing this presentation, I was thinking on playing with that tools while I was doing the webinar. Now, when you play with these tools, accidents might happen. So I was like, what if I do something wrong? So the other tool that I used was Screencastify, and I created some videos just presenting. So with those YouTube videos, I was actually playing with Grading Camp, and that's how I was annotating, and I put some videos in there. So actually the only tool when I was presenting, it was just my Google Slides presentation. I just put Screencastify, Grading Camp, in order to visualize this. Is that answering that question?
I think so. I mean, you can use a lot of things as long as you have your Google Slides, and then if you're presenting virtually, you can write over your screen with Zoom, or when you were annotating over the slides real time.
We do want to make sure that we thank Adrian so much for this powerful presentation. Adrian, you are amazing, so inspirational for us all. Boom, right? I also want to let you all know that on Monday, Tina Bean is presenting a webinar, and her webinar is on compelling social studies content. So please be sure to join us for that one. And then in the afternoon, we have a very casual webinar with our Sidelets education consultants. That's afternoon coffee break with Sidelets consultants. So if you haven't registered for that, be sure to join us. We're excited to collaborate with all of you. And then on Wednesday, Dr. Laura Beth Escalante is talking about cultivating relationships. Even through distance learning, relationships are, I think, even more important right now when we're not physically in the same space with students. This is the time to really cultivate those relationships. So next week we have a packed week of just like webinars, and we also have a Twitter chat on Tuesday. That's our regularly scheduled Twitter chat. So please join us and continue to talk on Twitter at Sidelets Ed Chat. If you have lots of questions for Adrian, that's the place to go to. Adrian will be there. Hashtag Sidelets Ed Chat. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Thank you.